far. Now to the Smokehouse Creek fire. It is now the largest wildfire ever in the state of Texas. According to officials, that fire has reached more than 1 million acres at this point and has also claimed at least one life. The growing fire also forcing evacuations and triggering power outages as firefighters try and contain the fire. Right now, containment still sitting at just 3%.
Our Gage Goulding will have live coverage of the conditions.
But first, meteorologist Justin Stapleton taking a look at the massive impact of this fire.
Well, it's interesting. At 3 o'clock when we talked to Gage, and you and I both noticed that there was just acres and acres of black all around him there. And you'll see when we talk to him here in a minute. It's pretty amazing, that's for sure. I want to give you a bit of a perspective on this as well. So the entirety of this whole fire complex, which does include the largest one, which is that Smoke Creek fire, is about 1,075,000 acres. All right, to put that into perspective, it basically goes from one end of the Panhandle all the way over in towards western edges of extreme Oklahoma. Now, for perspective of what that is locally, if you look at the city of Houston, we're not talking about Harris County, but the city of Houston is roughly 426,000 acres. We're talking about 2 Houstons back to back or side by side with each other, and then throw in some of the communities, and that's the kind of what they're dealing with up there with that wildfire. So it is certainly going to take some time. Now, they've had some assistance from Mother Nature today as well. Had some good snow showers move on through. And in fact, this has really tamped down not only the temperatures, but it's helped for a lot of the hot spots that were active yesterday. Have not been out there today. I've been tracking them all afternoon, and I've not been able to see any pop up on our fire tracker. And it's all part of this area of low pressure that's moving through the Panhandle. That's what's been bringing us some of that light rain through there today. Here is our fire tracker. If you see some of those reds, that'll indicate that those are new hot spots, and notice it's all in the yellow. That's good for now, but still there is plenty to be done out there as well. And in fact, as this moves out of the way, high pressure is going to regain control. So that means hot, dry conditions, not only for the Panhandle, but it's going to warm us up here locally as well. And then as we get in towards early next week, we'll see another front come through that may bring some relief. But the question, at least here locally, is the winds start to switch? Does some of that smoke start to move on down into southeast Texas as we get into early next week's forecast? In terms of containment out there today, our own Gage Goulding has been there for a good chunk of the day, flew in this morning, and he has been kind of assessing with some of the local fire crews of what's happening out there. Let's go out to him now and get a sense. Gage, since we last talked to you about an hour or so ago, where are you now, and what have you been seeing since the time we talked to you at 3 o'clock?
Yeah, this entire afternoon we've been embedded with the Houston Fire Department, which has about 15 staff members up in this area throughout Harris County. They have all come up here, and it's not just them. We're going to talk about the other departments that are here, but I want to show you, before those firefighters got here, you can see what looks like home firefighters. These people were doing anything they could. Their home, it is still standing. That's the most important thing we can show you. This is actually the Hutchinson County Commissioner's house. His home's still standing, but as for his garage, his truck, a lot of his belongings, we can't say the same. And as we take a look back even further this way, this is what firefighters are currently working on right now. They're working to put out all these other fires that are still smoldering. They're actually going inside these trailers to pull out, you see a firefighter pop out right there, to pull out everything that's burning. Today is the day. The clock is ticking because the weather is allowing them to get ahead. They're playing catch up. They need to put these fires out before those prime fire conditions return tomorrow. That is exactly what Houston Fire is doing, and firefighters from all across the state of Texas. I caught up with some of these firefighters a little bit earlier. This is just a quick portion of the interview.
So right now we need to make sure that the fire is completely out. It's a bad situation, and we don't want to make the situation worse, but not hit these spots right here that you see still burning. We're talking dozens and dozens of homes in this area that have been affected. Several agencies here, not just Houston Fire Department, but multiple agencies from Harris County, Galveston County, Montgomery County. They're all here trying to assist, and all over the state, really.
We've seen Conroe, we've seen South Montgomery County, we have seen Stafford. I mean, fire departments from every part of southeast Texas making the 8.5, 9-hour drive to do this work right here, the grueling door-to-door work to try to put out any flames they can before those conditions return. And whenever I say it is for miles, it's not just black hills back there, it is charred hills. Everything here looks like this. These plants just burnt to a crisp by these quick-moving smoking fires. And the area that we're in right now, this is the Windy Deuce fire. It's about 142,000 acres at last check. Now, if you were to drive about the distance it would take you to get from East Houston to West Houston, about an hour or so, then you would be in the Smokehouse Creek fire. So these fires are very close together. We don't know how they started or how they spread, but it wouldn't be unlikely to say that embers carried and traveled, and that's how these things pop up, and they just grow so exponentially. Justin?
Yeah, thanks, Gage. So I have a question for you, and I'm glad you brought that point up and that we had the video a second ago. I saw, especially at 3 o'clock, and just now, you had the fire crews out there kind of mopping up some of those hot spots. Obviously, the snow helped tamp that down so it's not as widespread today, but is that some of the fear going forward tomorrow and into the weekend when that forecast turns hot and dry again, if they don't know where some of these hidden hot spots that are still smoldering in there, that they could reignite, and as you say, those embers could take off again for things that aren't burnt yet?
Justin, you're spot on. I would say firefighters are working harder today than they have this entire time, because this is that beautiful gap they have. This snow has really been a reprieve for fire crews. Relative humidity right now is between 60 and 70%. We just checked it with HFD out here about 10 minutes ago. That's really good. But whenever these conditions return tomorrow, so we didn't have an inch of snow, we're not going to have that tomorrow. All of it's going to go away, and temperatures are going to rise into the low to mid 70s here in Amarillo. Whenever that happens, those prime fire conditions return, and that's when, remember, this fire is still burning. This area has burnt, but there's still a head on this fire that is burning, and whenever those conditions return, it's like adding fuel to the fire in situations like this, areas like this, which are just primed to ignite. That's when it's going to start. But one thing I want to point out, as we were flying into Amarillo, we were looking out of the plane window, and it was incredible to see an inch of snow. We don't get that very often, especially in southeast Texas, right? But you could see very vividly the ground that was not affected by a fire. The snow was covered on it. But areas like this, there is no snow because the ground is still so hot from that fire that the snow just can't accumulate. And I've been fighting this hood all day. That's another thing firefighters are going to have to fight today and tomorrow and the next day and the next day until they get this under control, is the wind. It is still whipping out here. So not only is it a fire threat, but it's also brutal for these firefighters because they're dealing with all of these conditions, the cold conditions. But to answer your question, Justin, yeah, what they're doing right now, this is incredibly important. It might not seem like it, but putting out little fires like this are going to help protect homes from other fires sparking back up. Incredibly important work. Justin?
All right, thank you very much, Gage. You and the boys stay safe out there as well. And if you get any information on new containment or whatnot from a press release later this afternoon or whatnot, hit me up and let me know, and I'll make sure that folks know here as well. Okay, thanks, Gage.
Yes, sir.
All right, Lisa, Candace?
All right, Justin, Gage, thank you.